What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we've got to talk about Sundial stock because there are some very interesting developments for the stock, and some things have been going on that have been moving it both to the upside and the downside. But we've also got some crazy developments with the short interest that we're going to cover closer to the end of this video. So the first thing that I wanted to show you guys is the chart of Sundial stock, and you can see that right here. You can see that unfortunately for the past week or so we have been moving down stock price wise. Now, we did get a little bounce in the pre-market. We're currently getting pushed back down. But I will say that this is not unexpected, right? There are a couple of reasons that we might have expected Sundial stock to be moving down, or at least that explain why it is moving down, right? First off, you can see the S&P. The S&P is also moving down. In fact, we moved down pretty significantly both yesterday and in the after hours and pre-market of today. And even during the actual trading day itself, the S&P isn't looking all that good. So the reason that this is also having some of an impact on Sundial stock. The Fed, unfortunately, has announced that they're going to be somewhat aggressive with their tightening policy. And this is just serving to make some investors very wary, right? Typically, investors like to hear that there's going to be an easy Federal Reserve, that the Fed is going to keep low interest rates and not try to shrink the balance sheet. But the Fed is going to try to shrink the balance sheet and have somewhat aggressive interest rate hikes. So that's what's making some people worry. I do talk about this in the last video that I posted, something titled, I believe, "Don't Make This Mistake," right? And essentially the mistake I'm talking about in that video is selling stocks, right? I don't think it's the right decision to sell stocks. I think that overall these stocks are going to do relatively well despite a somewhat harsh Fed. Now, Sundial stock I think will do especially well, and there are a couple of reasons. One, you can see that Sundial stock is already moving up a little bit in the pre-market. Now, the reason it's moving up in the pre-market is because tlry's earnings call came out, and it was actually relatively positive. So tlry's earnings call, they actually beat their expectations. They were expecting to lose 8 cents per share, or at least analysts were expecting them to lose 8 cents per share, and they ended up coming out with a beat. They made 9 cents per share profit instead of losing money. So they actually were profitable this quarter instead of unprofitable, and part of that was fueled by 32% growth in cannabis revenue, also 64% growth in alcohol revenue. So Sundial, now that they've acquired Alcana, both engages in cannabis revenue and alcohol revenue. So we're probably going to see, if I had to guess, probably at Sundial's earnings call, some good earnings as well. And that's what a lot of algorithms and potential investors in Sundial must have been betting on when the price moved up in sympathy with tlry, right? Sundial's earnings call is on the 14th, so in just about a week from now. So we can expect that there could be some better than expected earnings, right? That's the bet that some people are making. Unfortunately, a lot of the gains that we saw due to that pump up have been lost, right? Sundial has been moving down. It's a pattern that we've seen before, right? If you look back over the past 2 years, Sundial, when it is going through rallies, oftentimes you can see that just recently we did pump up and now we're pulling back a little bit. This is completely, to be expected, right? Sundial has often done this during the last big pump up. They had big pumps during the catalysts, and then they would kind of retreat and pull back for a period of time before the next catalyst came and pumped them up, and then they would retreat and pull back, and then eventually when some big catalysts came, they pumped up quite a bit. So I would not expect that Sundial would do anything different this time, right? I would think they'd probably do something similar to that, and it looks like they are. Now, hopefully, we will be getting some more catalysts for Sundial, and there's at least one really big one that I know we can all think of, and we've already got the MORE Act, the cannabis legalization bill that was voted on in the House. That already passed the House. However, it's unexpected that it will pass the Senate, right? Republicans did not like that bill. And so we've actually got some really good news on that front, on the front of cannabis legalization from Republicans' perspectives, and that's actually coming from Chuck Schumer right here. You can see just earlier, just yesterday actually, Schumer has been talking to Republicans to, quote, see what they want in his cannabis legalization bill that's going to be coming later this month. So we can expect probably sometime this month that Schumer will reveal his bill, and it's a really good sign that he's already talked with Republicans, or that he is currently talking with them to see what they want in the bill, because they do have some sway in the Senate, right? They have the ability to block any bill from going through because of a filibuster, and if they don't want a cannabis legalization bill, it's going to be relatively difficult to get one through. Now, the good thing is he's already talking to them. And we also know that Republicans in general, when you poll them, tend to want cannabis legalization. So if they can have some of their own demands put in his bill, then there's reason to believe that maybe they would go along with whatever he's proposing, right? There are bipartisan efforts to pass cannabis legalization. Now, it's not just me that's expecting this, right? If you actually take a look at the short interest, you can see that it has been recently dropping off of a cliff, right? Shorts have actually been fleeing Sundial somewhat rapidly. In fact, now we're down to about 10% of the free float being shorted. So a lot of shorts are potentially covering their short positions in anticipation that Sundial might be pumping up, that a lot of cannabis stocks could be pumping up actually during this legalization hype phase that we could be entering sometime soon. So currently there are 214 million shorts, about 10.5% of the free float. And you can see that we're actually at pretty low short interest. In fact, we're at a low short interest ever since all the way back in April of 2021. So we're at a 1-year all-time low short interest for Sundial stock. So very impressive stuff. I expect that shorts will probably, if they're smart, continue to cover their positions, continue to exit their Sundial positions because they don't want to be caught with their pants down when Sundial starts pumping, right? And they do realize that there is a likely and potentially very possible catalyst that could be coming to pump up Sundial, not just legalization based, right? Obviously, legalization is going to be a big one. That will almost certainly pump up not just Sundial, but a ton of cannabis stocks. And even you can see tlry is pumping up. It looks like it's up about 12% on the news of its earnings call, and it's actually moving up more today. It looks like some new buyers just stepped in. So really exciting stuff for tlry as well. I don't know if anyone holds that. But for Sundial, we've also got their earnings call, right? And it looks like Sundial is having a little sympathy rally with tlry right now. So with Sundial's earnings call, once again, we already kind of talked about this. The earnings call, I would expect to be good, right? If tlry was doing better with their cannabis revenue, I would think that Sundial would probably also be doing better with theirs. So we've got that. We've got cannabis legalization bills being introduced by Chuck Schumer later this month. All in all, it's looking like it's a very good situation for Sundial, especially with shorts exiting Sundial. It's looking like, there will be less people rooting against it, right? Or at least that some of the shorts are expecting Sundial to start rising sometime soon. So all in all, that's what we've got for Sundial stock. If you appreciate the video, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. And other than that, guys, keep in mind none of this is financial advice, and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, guys, one last thing that I forgot to cover in the video. Someone was asking about this. It's essentially just a report that came out for Sndl, right? They were granted an MCTO, and someone was asking about this in the comments of one of the other videos, right? So essentially the MCTO is a management cease trade order. It's all in all not the most important thing for us, right? It's not too worrisome. It's even potentially a good thing for us, right? But the management cease trade order does not affect us as shareholders, right? The MCTO, it says here, does not affect the ability of other shareholders of the company to trade. It only restricts the chief executive officer, the chief financial officer, and maybe some other management from trading securities of Sndl. And the reason this was enacted essentially is because Sndl did delay their earnings call, and this will be lifted as soon as the earnings call ends up happening, right? So they're essentially just restricting the trading that the management of the company can do while they're waiting for the earnings call to come out. And they're just doing this for, regular, it's not the SEC, it's Canada's government doing this, but for reasons that, the SEC would essentially just want to protect shareholders from potential insider trading or whatnot, right? They don't want these financial results to have been potentially made and for the management to know what the results are and then to be able to trade based off of that. They're just ceasing trading of what the managers can do. So that's what the order was, just in case anyone was curious about that. I know at least one person was, so I figured I'd add it in here. Other than that, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye. And for anyone who's curious, I figure since we have two outros already, we may as well make it three. My arm is actually doing significantly better. It's now in just a removable splint. So all things considered, pretty good. I'm supposed to be doing some physical therapy with it each day and just doing some exercises. I've been doing those, and all things considered, it's looking like a pretty good situation. Just for anyone who's curious about that. Other than that, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.